you. I am so excited and happy for this interview. I've been out of the game for a while, and this is something exciting for me.
Awesome, awesome. Out of the media space or like,
Interviews and stuff like this. So I'll try my best. I'll try my best.
I'm sure it's gonna be good enough. All right. Let me start by giving you an opportunity to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you have come into the world of business.
Okay, so my name is Merrissa Meyers. I am from the Northern Cape in Kimberley.
Mm.
I've been
Mm.
in the banking and financial planning space for about 15 years. So, my love for business started, I think, back in 2009 when I did an internship in banking, one of our banks, South African banks. And,
Mm-hmm.
and then afterwards, I think my combined experience in banking would be about 7 years before I went into financial planning
Okay.
with another company, though. There,
Mm-hmm.
I was for another 5 or 6 years, where I finally decided to go into wealth planning, executive wealth planning.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I just had a nice professional way of communicating with clients that impressed my seniors. And I always knew that I wanted to be in business or I would be a businesswoman, even if it took me a few years, though. So
Yeah.
while I was working and while I was busy in the financial planning space, I upskilled myself, obviously. So
Mm-hmm.
I built up enough knowledge in banking, sales, customer service, marketing, investments, wills, estate planning, just everything that I needed to be holistic. And then in
Mm-hmm.
between also then the necessary accreditations and short courses to make me actually or to accredit me to give financial advice. And
Mm-hmm.
I believe I did enough, or I did my share to be able to give comprehensive advice to personal, private, and business clients.
Wonderful. It's such a beautiful journey. And I always enjoy to hear the stories of how people have come up, how the little building blocks or the steps that one has taken over time. I think it also reminds us that, things don't happen overnight. Like it's not like a snap of fingers and you're there, but over time with diligence and dedication, you can be able to build to the level that you're in right now. Now, for the sake of people who might not necessarily understand, what is a wealth planner? Like when you're doing wealth planning, what exactly does that mean? What does it entail? And for someone who really doesn't understand or get it.
Okay, so a wealth planner is someone who looks after your wealth building portfolio. So
Okay.
this might be your short, medium, long term investments, education plans, savings, wills, life policies. Sometimes then also your shares and your retirement annuities and those things. So some
Mm-hmm.
people may say there's no difference between a financial planner and a wealth planner.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, let me say, when I was a financial planner, I worked for one company and then I only promoted or marketed the one company's products and services. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I went over to being a wealth planner, I had a bit of more flexibility in as to share or give a client the option to choose between various companies
Multiple.
and products and services. Yes.
I see. So that they're not necessarily the same. With financial planning, you might be confined to a certain area or space or institution, while with wealth planning, then your scope becomes much larger in terms of how you can advise the client.
That is my experience, yes.
Okay. And now let's talk about the level of wealth. Let's say I'm coming out of school. When I say school, I don't mean high school. I mean, like now I've gone to university, I've completed, and I'm not working. And then I get my first job, and I'm still trying to figure things out in terms of how I'm supposed to be spending my money and things like that. When would you say is the correct time, like when you've got enough wealth to consult a wealth planner? At what stage of life should one have a conversation or use the services of a wealth planner?
Okay, so firstly, anyone with a steady income that can actually afford to do the monthly payments can work with a wealth planner or a financial advisor. However, there is companies that would actually say, you know what, I only work with people in a certain salary bracket, for
Bracket.
instance.
Mm.
But now for me, it is a bit difficult to give you an amount or a number to work with because I can actually give, let me see, I'll make an example. You are
Mhm.
unemployed, but for some or other reason, you inherited or you inherited some money or some lotto winnings or something like that. So the
Mm.
first person you need to see, although you are unemployed, the first person you need to see is a planner. I would suggest someone who specializes in wills and estates because anything can happen to you while you inherited all this money. So
Mm.
someone who then specializes in wills and estates, because now they would be able to tell you exactly what to do with your funds because you are unemployed, because you don't have any other source of income. Because sometimes I also tell people we are all human. So now I've got all this money from inheritance. I don't know what to do with that money. So what we do is we
Merrissa, your mic is off again. You've muted yourself. Yeah, there you are.
okay, sorry, man, call that came through. Yeah, so sometimes we would then want to spoil ourselves and then do maybe buy cars, which is not wrong because I mean we are all human. We want to just do good things for ourselves, but in
Mm.
the meantime, we also need to create some wealth in the process.
Sure,
So I
sure.
think the best person who or the best thing to do would then be to go see a financial advisor or a wealth planner and then get your stuff in order. Also, ask questions because I think there's this thing of going to one person and getting advice from one person or one company at a time that you forget you have the option to make the decision. You are the client. You must make an informed
Mm.
decision.
Mm.
So for me to say, okay, Thandisa, use this company with this product is actually wrong because I need to give you two or three quotations or two or three options to work with so that you can make an informed decision.
Yeah, yeah. I think that is really, really interesting and very much important. Do you think as people we're afraid of talking about money? Do you think that, have you seen in the space over your 15-year period, do you think it's difficult for us to talk about money as just people?
That is, I think that is the most important question, yeah, because normally when I do presentations or I need to talk to a group of people, I
Mm.
always say I got the worst topic because no one wants to talk about money. So um, I think it's sometimes difficult to talk about money or your finances because people has this thing of prejudging you in accordance to your to what you
Mm.
drive, your income and what you earn, and then also for you as an individual, you might be embarrassed because of financial mistakes that you made.
Yeah.
But then my advice would be everyone makes mistakes, and it's never too late to rectify those mistakes.
Mm,
So
correct.
we can always start by talking about it and then find a solution with a positive outcome.
Beautiful. And another thing that I wanted to touch on, or maybe I was really curious to allow you to enlighten us about, is the area of what are some of the greatest mistakes that we as some of your clients and people you've seen in the industry and the space that people make around their finances, especially around wealth planning and the lack thereof. What mistakes have you seen that are very much important that someone who's listening should guard against or be aware of or be careful of?
Okay, so the biggest mistake would be that I've seen is people delaying or not taking out a will.
Okay.
By the way, a will is free. So you can go to any institution and ask for a will. They will do it for you free of charge. And because people don't realize that life is short and the mess that you leave behind, dying without a will, it's very important to make sure that you have your affairs in order. Because there's a lot of people who have a lot of funds laying in investments and banks and all that. And then all of a sudden something happens to them and bank accounts are frozen, their families can't access their funds, especially when it's a housewife and there's kids involved. So what happens is you die without a will, because you're in your will, you will be able to then say, listen, this is what has to happen at this stage. Should something happen to me, and just the impact of dying without a will, that impact is heavy on your family. The other thing is people tend to delay that process, and I think it's expensive and you need to have a lot of money, and it's just something so simple, especially when you are single or you married and you have one child, and you have you married to one person with one child and all that.
Wedlock.
It takes about a half an hour of your time to sit with someone and be like, this is my situation, I want a will. And then also you need to update your will annually, or with every event. So should someone be born, get married, die, or stuff like that, so you always update your will. So you have to have a good relationship with your planner then.
And I think that's another thing that I was going to bring up as a follow-up, to say that, but when should you update? Because it's also important to talk about the updating of the will. Like, don't create a will 10 years ago. Now you've got additional assets that you've accumulated, or some have gone off and your will is like talking something else, and things like that. So it's important that, as you say, that, it's at least once a year, or someone said every 6 months. I was like, that would be too much, but at least annually.
I think there's some law that says you have to then also, I think annually you have to review your financial planning, especially your investments, and then also then your will and everything that you have, man. Just go and check that everything is still in order. Because, you would now have one child and leave everything to that one child. But in 5 years' time, all of a sudden there's 3 children. So it just makes it complicated if you do not update your will as often as you should.
Yeah. All right. And when it comes to someone wanting to start their wealth planning journey, what would be your best advice? Like, what would be the steps that they would need to follow? I mean, someone listening in on this conversation right now and thinking, Ish, I need to actually hit this call and do this now. What would be your advice to such a person?
I would then advise them to actually prioritize their wealth planning, and find a trusted person who is affiliated with a trusted, long-standing company. And like I said, start with your budget or your will, and then whatever is in your will and your budget will then determine where your mistakes are, what you need to focus on. And like I said, your wills and your budgets, those are 3 things that you can make use of in the beginning of your financial planning process. So for me, my advice would literally be, just start somewhere. Don't be afraid of what someone would say if they find that you are in debt. Because, sometimes people are actually overinsured or underinsured, and there is a lot of stuff. And especially now with people that are not fully educated when it comes to this trading and this cryptocurrency and a lot of stuff. It's such a confusion, because now people go into transactions that they know nothing about, that they don't know the company, they don't know the person, and then all of a sudden they lose money, they just make bad decisions. I would advise to go to a person that is affiliated or works for a company that is long-standing, and that you would be able to track anywhere in South Africa, online. That would be my best advice. Yes, prioritize it for now. I would say.
All right, Merrissa, another point that you touched on, the area of debt, because sometimes someone might think that just because they have debt, they're not supposed to be wealth planning, or having someone that they can talk to help them through their financial journey. So bust that myth if you can, that if I'm in debt, then I can't or I shouldn't be with a wealth planner.
Okay, so remember now, wealth planners don't work with credit scores or credit ratings and things like that. So that has got nothing to do with us. So
Mm,
whether you have debt or you are in debt, we will look at your budget and we will say, okay, are you living within your means?
sure.
Is there space for you to do this, or to maybe start an investment, or a retirement annuity, or do you need a cover for some or other reason, a short term or long term investment? I mean, we don't look at it. What we're trying to do is to build wealth for you, because I mean, we work hard, we get a salary every month. Imagine being 40, 50 and
Having
looking back and
nothing.
be like, I've been working for 20 years. I do not have a proper retirement fund.
Mm,
How am I going to make what? And that is where with most people that I've seen, especially the older people who went on retirement, that is where they go into this scams and the schemes of
mm,
invest this type of money and I will give you back a certain amount in 24 hours. I've
lies,
seen so many
lies.
people fall for those tricks that sometimes I wonder, if the big companies or banks can't do it for you, who are these people promising all these things, and people are still falling for it?
It's the vulnerability, the yeah, people at a very it's desperation and vulnerability that gets
Yes,
exploited. It's so sad, hey?
exactly,
It is very
exactly.
sad. Yeah, no, I think, Merrissa, what you are saying is really important, that, work with someone reputable, someone with a company with a long-standing reputation that you can trace, because these fly-by-nights are really, really, they are literally responsible for a lot of heart attacks that people get to have, and strokes, and, like, because I mean, if you take 200,000 and you put it in some fake fly by night investment scheme, and you lose it, that's a lot of money, right? So people really
Exactly.
do get ish. It's sad. It's really bad. So I think it's important just to work with reputable people, as you said earlier, and make sure that you work with someone who you can trace, who you can track, to ensure that you are in the safe hands. Right, Merrissa, for people that maybe want to contact you and engage with you further and make use of your wealth planning services, how do we contact you? How do we find you? On which platforms are you? How do we engage with you?
Okay, so unfortunately, I did not want to promote any company or business by doing these interviews.
Yes.
It can be a bit difficult promoting one
Promote yourself.
company or not, or
Promote
not
Merrissa
promoting
then.
another. Yeah, so I am on. I'm acting in my personal capacity, though. I am on all social media platforms. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and then TikTok as well. So I can gladly share my business contact details there if anyone wants to reach out to me. As long as they have my correct spelling of my name and surname, they will find me.
So they're going to drop you an email. Maybe they will find your your email details
Yes,
on all
exactly.
social media platforms, Merrissa Meyers.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Merrissa, for coming through. We have learned a lot from this conversation. We truly appreciate it.
Glad I could help.
Awesome. Awesome. All right.